of this telescope, of this remarkable instrument we put in space, is finding things that we didn't expect, that we can't explain, because that means that we have to revise our understanding of the universe.
In actuality, the universe appears to have a limit, at least based on our understanding. Imagine yourself in the middle of the ocean, and wherever you turn, there's always that line, the horizon. Your eyes can only see so far, but you know there's more ocean out there. The same is true of the universe. We have this cosmic horizon, which is a limit imposed by the universe's age and the speed of light. Beyond that boundary, there is something crazy that goes beyond the universe's edge, something so big and weird that it contradicts everything we believe to be true. Because light moves at a speed of 186,000 miles per second, not an indefinitely high speed. It's not endless, but it's quick. It's so limited that a 3-second delay would make you frustrated if you were speaking on the phone with someone on the moon. 3 seconds would have gone by the time they heard you and answered. It wouldn't be a pleasant phone call. The light takes that long to reach the moon alone. The trip to the sun takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds. The galaxy takes 100,000 years to traverse. Reaching the distant galaxies takes 1 billion years. The known universe takes 13.7 billion years to traverse. It requires time. Put a pin in that information, okay? An additional truth is that 13.7 billion years ago was the universe's birthday. Thus, consider an endlessly huge universe. Put yourself in the center now, and I'll tell you that 13.7 billion years ago, this universe began. So let's look out to the sphere, the circle, that surrounds us. Travel 13.7 billion light years away to the location. Put another way, visit the location where it has taken 13.7 billion years for light from objects to reach you. The birth light of that thing is just now reaching you, therefore you will be seeing its birth. You will see those in their early years if you come in a little while. Look, they're in adolescence, so come in a bit more. As you get closer to the present, you can see how mature everyone has become. If the universe had a birth date and the speed of light was finite, then the distance you could see in an infinite universe would be limited. Hold off for 1 billion years. The distance to the horizon is currently 14.7 billion light years. You're witnessing the birth of those galaxies now. The intriguing aspect of the universe in which we live is that, as long as galaxies are being surpassed by this expanding horizon, you will continue to watch the universe's birth because new life is constantly occurring. The intriguing thing is that your horizon passed over a region of the cosmos where there are no more galaxies to show you their birthday attire if the Big Bang signature disappears. That would indicate that you had indeed arrived at the edge of the cosmos. We can only tell you about the edge of our horizon at this time, but it is a constantly growing horizon that continues to provide the Big Bang signature. It was 13.7 billion years ago that the universe celebrated its birthday. Imagine yourself, then, as the ultimate partygoer in the cosmos, surrounded by an ever-widening festivity. Things get older the farther you look. It's like peering through a time capsule. The light from objects billions of light years away is now reaching us, but it began its trip long before there were any humans. It appears as though you are looking at images of babies in the sky. Nearer things are adolescent, cosmic dramatists. And those in the vicinity? They are at their best. You begin to wonder what occurs beyond that edge as you continue to look. Is there anything out there that our telescopes can't see? Beyond the observable universe, what mysteries exist? Light that has been traveling for 13.8 billion years is visible when we gaze out to the edge of the observable cosmos. For the region of the universe that was experiencing the Big Bang at the moment it emitted that light, that provides proof of its existence. That horizon is still expanding. We will continue to enter a universe that is our complete as long as we continue to observe evidence of the Big Bang. Imagine the day when the final remnant of matter that underwent the Big Bang is swept away by that horizon. The data set for all we know about cosmology would then be empty, and the knowledge that is currently available to us regarding the Big Bang would stop. The advancing horizon, which, at that rate, moves 1 light-year away from us annually, would have essentially passed the universe's final matter at that moment, which would be the universe's edge. Though it's like attempting to visualize a color you haven't seen, physicists believe they have an idea. As we know it, the cosmos is expanding at an ever-increasing rate, much like a balloon blowing up. A billion years into the future, our horizon would expand even farther, exposing galaxies we have never even glimpsed before. We are currently waiting for the next major revelation, though, and are caught at that precipice. However, time is just as important as distance in this situation. It has taken billions of years for the light from those distant galaxies to reach here. As a result, when we see a galaxy near the limit of our field of vision, we are viewing it from billions of years ago rather than as it is today. In front of our very eyes, stars and galaxies are born, develop, and occasionally perish in the cosmic nursery. But what if it's not all that? What if, despite the advancement of technology, we are unable to perceive large regions of the universe? We are in the midst of something so vast that our instruments, our eyes, and our telescopes are unable to fully reach its end. We are sure that the cosmos is far, far beyond what we can now grasp. It's not simply that we haven't discovered the edge yet. The goalpost is getting farther and farther away as the cosmos continues to expand. And that's where the strangeness starts. What if there is something completely different out there, outside our line of sight? Something crazy? Something that's beyond our wildest dreams? Perhaps another universe exists. Or perhaps there are other ways that the rules of physics operate. We're discussing the type of material that makes your head spin. We are only now receiving birth announcements from galaxies that were born in the far reaches of space. However, even those galaxies have their own horizons, and there may be entirely uncharted territories out there. We measure the observable universe, which is what we frequently discuss. It has innumerable stars, billions of galaxies, and much more worlds. However, we are merely witnessing a tiny portion of the cosmic pie. The size of the entire pie is unknown to us. Beyond what we can see, is there more out there? You wager. There may even be more than one universe, according to some scientists, each with its own rules, galaxies, and possibly even a different version of reality. Although it's a crazy idea, it highlights how little we actually know. We are still cosmic children, gazing in awe at the cosmos and attempting to understand it all. Imagine taking a normal breath, exactly like everyone else. However, you are inhaling 50 sextillion atoms in just one breath. Now, to put it into perspective, that's 22 zeros after a 5. Amazing, isn't it? That's just one breath, too. 7 octillion atoms, a 7 followed by 27 zeros, make up your entire body. Zoom out a little now. Imagine that the entire Earth is composed of an astounding 100 quintillion atoms, which is essentially a 1 with 50 zeros behind it. We live there. However, we haven't even begun to explore it. Let's venture farther out into the observable universe, which is that region that spans 46 billion light-years. There are estimated to be 100,000 quadrillion vigintillion atoms in that unfathomable space, a quantity so enormous that it is almost difficult for us to fully comprehend. The problem is that even figures like that are nothing compared to the true giants. The result would be 1 followed by 185 zeros if the complete volume of the observable universe were divided by the Planck space, the smallest unit of space that can exist. Imagine everything that is visible to us being separated into tiny cubes. But wait, we haven't yet reached the largest number that people have ever imagined. There is a number that even the universe's astounding size cannot match. A figure derived from the seemingly innocuous mathematical puzzle tree, 3. According to Nottingham University physicist Antonio Padilla, everything you think you know is dwarfed into nothing. The amount is so enormous that it nearly doesn't seem to put it another way. Imagine yourself in a game where you are growing trees from colorful seeds. You can add more branches and seeds at each level, but there's a catch. You can't make a tree that already exists in your forest. The game is over if you do. Easy, isn't it? Not quite. That is, tree 1 quickly dies since it only permits one seed color. Although you can get a little farther in tree 2, the game still ends somewhat quickly. But everything changes when we reach tree 3. Mathematicians have constructed a forest out of just 3 colors that continues to develop for an inconceivably long time. Mathematically, the game will end someday, but how many trees will it take to get there? If you attempted to understand that enormous number, it would practically blow your mind away. For good reason, no one has been able to compute it because doing so would overload the brain. We are discussing a figure so enormous that the sheer volume of data would collapse into a black hole if you attempted to visualize it. Things start to get extremely intriguing at this point. This mind-blowing, unfathomable enormous, this crazy number that tree 3 generates, is still limited. It has an end, no matter how enormous. Infinity, on the other hand, is the idea of something that never ends. Infinity makes tree 3 appear small since there is always more, regardless of how large it is. It never ends. It's a never-ending cycle that never stops. What awaits us outside if we continue to push past tree 3 and every enormous number that the human mind can conjure? Does the cosmos simply go on forever, boundless in all directions, or does it have a final boundary? And what does that entail for us if the cosmos is indeed infinite? Is there something unspeakable hiding just outside our field of vision? For ages, scientists and intellectuals have struggled to answer this question. What's on the other side of the universe? We are aware that the observable cosmos has a boundary, beyond which we are unable to observe. But what about things that go beyond that? Does another universe exist? Several universes? Or is there simply nothing? In actuality, we have no idea. However, the options are essentially limitless. We are on the brink of something amazing. It might be a parallel universe, a new dimension, or something even more bizarre than we could have ever guessed. We should travel back in time to ancient Greece. A group of intellectuals are gathered in a poorly lit room in southern Italy circa 530 BCE. They're not discussing politics or organizing the next major gathering. Not at all. Numbers are the focus of their obsession. Furthermore, they thought that certain numbers could explain the universe, not simply any numbers. Who is their leader? Pythagoras. The guy with the triangle theorem, you may recall him from math class. But he was almost a deity to these guys. Pythagoras and his team thought that the universe's secrets lay in numbers. They were fixated on using mathematical ratios to explain everything. They understood the basic concepts, such as measuring and counting. However, the moment they encountered something that didn't fit neatly into their framework, such as irrational numbers, they became uneasy. Why? Because, by definition, irrational numbers never really end, they just keep going. This was unnerving to the Pythagoreans, who strongly disapproved of anything limitless or unpredictable. The surprise, though, is that what those ancient philosophers found difficult may be the core of what exists beyond the universe's edge, infinity. Philosophers, mathematicians, and physicists have been baffled by this mind-bending idea for thousands of years. You see, despite its vastness, the universe has boundaries. But what lies beyond those limits? We are forced to face infinity head-on by the simple notion that there is something out there beyond the confines of our cosmos. And believe me, infinity is not at all easy. Let's take a closer look at this. Consider attempting to get somewhere. You go halfway to your goal with each step you take, but you only get halfway there again with each one after that. In reality, you never reach it. This paradox, often known as Zeno's paradox, tinkers with the concept of infinity by implying that some things, such as the journey to the end of the universe, might, in theory, never finish. The worst part is that, despite its apparent impossibility, we now understand that infinity is more than simply a mathematical curiosity. It could exist and be waiting for us on the other side of the cosmos. The Greeks of antiquity struggled with this concept. True infinity, according to some, does not exist in the physical world. Others attempted to categorize it into neat groups, such as actual infinity, which is a whole, infinite quantity existing simultaneously, and potential infinity, which is the kind you face while you're counting or measuring anything. Potential infinity was fine with the Greeks. After all, we're accustomed to considering concepts like space and time to be theoretically endless. However, true infinity? They were afraid of that. It didn't feel feasible. Even now, we're still having trouble understanding the same ideas. The difference is that we are now being forced to reevaluate those old anxieties as our scientific models and telescopes stretch the limits of our knowledge. What if there is something infinite, something that defies reality and our knowledge of physics, beyond the farthest galaxies that are visible to us? Consider a fish in a pond as an example. For the fish, that pond represents the entire cosmos. Everything it is aware of and comprehends is found there. However, what if that fish managed to escape through the pond's edge and end out in the wide ocean outside? The fish would be entering a world that was so much bigger than its previous reality and so much more unfathomable. That's what we mean when we say that there might be something crazy out there in the universe. We're only now beginning to realize that there may be an ocean outside of our tiny cosmic pond, and we're the fish. This is where things start to go crazy. Today's scientists are experimenting with concepts that go beyond the limits of even the most sophisticated theories, such as multiverses, in which our world is but one bubble in an endless sea of bubbles, each with its own set of laws and physics. Or that the cosmos may be a single layer in a stacked set of dimensions. Beyond our cosmos, there may be more than simply stars and space. It might be something completely different, a world where time doesn't move and space doesn't stretch as we know it, with rules that don't make sense to us. More than 500 years ago, the Greeks struggled with the idea of infinity. How something could continue indefinitely was beyond their comprehension. Their remedy? Stay away from it. Reality was left to the domains of philosophy and thought, not infinity. However, as time went on, scientists and mathematicians started to directly address infinity. In the 19th century, George Cantor is the man who turned the idea of infinite upside down. Cantor demonstrated that there are various forms of infinite rather than only asserting that it exists. Take a moment to consider that there are various types of infinite. For example, there are an endless number of odd integers in addition to an infinite number of even numbers. Despite their differences, both are infinitely long. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. Cantor went on to say that there are things bigger than other infinities even within infinity. Perplexed? You're not by yourself. Throughout his career, Cantor experienced multiple nervous breakdowns as a result of his struggles with the ramifications. However, his discoveries made it possible to comprehend that our universe may be merely one piece of an endless jigsaw, one that has more pieces than we can possibly fathom. Mind-bending, to put it mildly. This is where the situation becomes even more bizarre. Infinity started to appear everywhere as scientists started using this abstract arithmetic to explain actual occurrences. For instance, the core of black holes has limitless densities. It is possible that the universe itself will extend indefinitely without any limits or edges. However, what if something more exists? Something other than a limitless expanse of space? Imagine that the waves are gently crashing at your feet as you stand on a beach. There is only water as far as your eyes can see. It seems like the water goes on forever. But you know in your heart that there's more out there. What's out there? There are yet more continents and islands to discover. Imagine the cosmos as that ocean now. Much of it is visible to us, but what is out there? Out there, what strange shores await? Some people think that something else exists outside of the observable world and the immense cosmic ocean. The idea that our universe might be one of many in a bigger multiverse is as exciting as it is terrifying, according to some scientists. Consider an infinite number of universes, each with its own stars, rules of physics, and realities. A few of these universes might resemble our own. Others may be so foreign to us that we are unable to even begin to understand them. It goes beyond parallel universes, though. According to certain hypotheses, the edge of our universe might be linked to a dimension or reality that is completely distinct from time and space. Perhaps what exists isn't even a new universe, but something so profoundly different that it's beyond the comprehension of our human minds. The laws of life as we know them just don't apply there. It's a world beyond our comprehension. That's the most thrilling part, isn't it? The notion that the cosmos we perceive is but a single chapter in an infinitely rich book of possibilities. We perceive a cosmic sea when we gaze out into space, much as a sentinel man would see a wide ocean when he peered out from his island. However, what lies beyond? Could there be other worlds, other islands, or even more bizarre things? The cosmos feels crazy enough as it is, if we're being honest. There are supermassive black holes, colliding galaxies, and stars that are formed and die in cosmic explosions that dwarf nuclear weapons. But to believe that something even more remarkable might exist behind all of this madness? It is sufficient to make your mind race. We may eventually learn that our universe is simply a tiny portion of a much bigger, more intricate reality, much like our ancestors originally believed the Earth to be flat before learning that it was actually a component of a much greater spherical planet. Exploration of the cosmos itself, not just of land and sea, is what we are living in. And we're on the verge of learning something that could fundamentally alter our understanding of the world, just like those ancient explorers who set sail into the unknown. Thomas Hobbes comes next. Hobbes concluded that it was not worthwhile to speculate on the infinite since he was a pragmatic philosopher. The notion of an unquantifiable, unseen reality seemed like chasing the wind to him. Why even bother? He encouraged people to concentrate on the observable, the quantifiable. Additionally, his reasoning has persisted in certain respects, influencing the cautious attitude to the unknown taken by modern research. If we can't prove it, why pursue it, is the attitude behind it. Yet let's face it, how can we resist the urge to explore? Let's fast forward to the present day. We have state-of-the-art equipment, telescopes that can see into the past, and scientists who have made magnificent maps of the observable universe. But this is where the interesting part begins. The speed of light limits all we can see and everything we know. Assume that light moves at a speed of about 300 million meters per second. However, this implies that the farther we gaze into space, the farther back in time we are looking. We are observing galaxies from billions of years ago, some of which are so old that they predate the formation of Earth. However, an interesting event occurred some 13.8 billion years ago. The galaxies begin to dim, not because they have vanished, but because light has only gone that far since the beginning of time. More than that, it is a blank canvas that is only awaiting our creative input. It's similar like reading a book and then discovering that a page is missing. You're left wondering what will happen next, even though you know the story isn't finished yet. The edge of what we can see isn't even a true edge, which is crazy. It resembles a speed limit more. The limits of our view are determined by the speed at which light can move. And that edge continues to move as the cosmos gets bigger. Those galaxies that are now hardly visible? Because space is always expanding, they are actually much farther away than they seem. The universe in question spans 92 billion light-years and is still expanding. Take a moment to consider that. Even while the size of the observable cosmos is astounding, we are still left wondering what lies beyond it. In one way, we can see 92 billion light-years, but what lies just over that last horizon? Is there additional room? More galaxies? Additional mysteries? Or perhaps a location where the laws of physics begin to bend and twist? Maybe. This is known to scientists as a cosmic horizon. It is similar to being on a boat in the middle of the ocean, where the sea stretches as far as your eyes can perceive, yet you are fully aware that, even though you cannot yet see it, there is land beyond that horizon. The universe is in the same predicament as us. Planets, stars, and galaxies are visible to us. However, anything could exist beyond that cosmic boundary. It might be a completely separate universe, with distinct physics and rules. Imagine living in a realm where reality itself is not only warped, but entirely different from what we have ever experienced. There is even a hypothesis that suggests our existence might be but one bubble in the multiverse, a vast, frothy sea of realities. Each bubble is distinct but a part of the same chaotic stew, much like bubbles in a boiling pot of water. Who knows what might exist in the universe next door? Perhaps there is a different you, leading a totally different life. Or perhaps it's a world with more extraterrestrial civilizations than we could possibly dream of. It is sufficient to make your mind race. Furthermore, Hobbes and numerous others have cautioned against pursuing unquantifiable goals, but there is a certain aspect of human curiosity that defies suppression. We have always been adventurers, stretching the limits of our knowledge even in the absence of a definitive solution. Whatever it may be, the edge of the universe is the ultimate frontier, a point where philosophy, science, and imagination all come together.